Push the button, Max.
Hey, I'm in Alabama. It's a one-party state. So, as long as I know I'm recording.
Yeah.
Well, with the app, not you. Yeah.
Did you check with our legal team on that?
We have
Yes.
a team?
Well, I mean, don't you have
ChatGPT.
personality disorder?
What state's laws does no driving gloves operate under? Is it an Alabama LLC or something?
We actually now operate under Hustle and Heritage Incorporated. And I don't know about you guys, but I do carry my own errors and omission insurance policies.
Oh.
No, I just have a policy of being judgment proof. So if you sue me, you just get my student loan debt. There's no point in it. So don't trust anything I say, people, because I got nothing to lose.
The views expressed within No Driving Gloves are the views of the co-hosts themselves and not the view of, well, anyone else. Did that cover us? Is that good?
I don't know, but
that's why I asked what law you were operating under. That's the disclaimer varies.
Well, you see, there's this place called the train station. If you watch Yellowstone, and it's this no man's land that's not a state, not a government. They throw all the dead bodies in because you can't get prosecuted because there's no government there. That's where we operate.
Okay, I work. I'm good with that.
So it's like some nebulous Old West time period that exists in a pocket universe. They can't even serve us to sue us in this deal. I mean, where you find the dimension 1885 Montana.
Well, we need to jump into cars. And before the show we started, I mentioned that I had sent you guys some great cars that I found. Ironically, I was shopping for buildings and warehouse space, and I kept getting cars thrown at me for some crazy reason, and not the normal Corvettes and Mustangs and Porsches and stuff that get thrown at me. But what did I send you guys? I sent you a 29 DeSoto or a Dodge DeSoto. I think I sent you a Maxwell. Yeah, and then I came across a 26 Model T sedan or coupe. I guess it was a coupe. It's not a business coupe. 2-door, whatever, seats 4. I came across a mini Model T. I came across a really nice 38 Chevy. But it's not what I was looking
38
for.
Chevy?
Yeah.
It was my grandfather's first car. It was a 38 Chevy coupe. Brown one.
Now, this one was
drove it through World War II.
I believe this was a 4-door.
Well, that's why it survived as a stocker. You don't see stock coupes very often.
I see.
That is true.
Yeah, sad but true.
Yeah.
Actually, I had detailed plans with a buddy to build a Wayman body speedster on an early 30s Chevy chassis with a 38 style 216 and a 4-shift 3-speed.
Oh, that'd be a pretty nice ride.
Wouldn't that be fun? I mean, 216 is not like anybody's great soak in a full-bodied car, but lightweight job like that, it would move along pretty good. And you could drive a couple carburetors and side exhaust.
Yeah, with the Wayman body, the lightweight, fabric, that'd be pretty peppy.
Add lightness. Is that Colin Chapman?
That's supposedly Colin Chapman.
Yeah, there we go.
But that's not the entire quote. What is it, John?
Till it breaks and then make it slightly stronger.
Blanking.
I can't remember the entire quote. I have it saved here.
Oh, I know. I can't remember it either. Crap.
That's why we have it saved, just so we don't have to remember.
Actually, I've got a 30.
As my college professor said, there is a reason we have history books.
Yeah. And you remember that quote because it's not written down anywhere.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, I've got the car I was thinking of was a 36 Chevrolet Standard. And right.
I have most of one of those.
And then there was a 39 Chevrolet Classic in the same town I was telling you about, the building that's for sale, that if it was closer, I would buy the building, not the Chevy. And then there's a 30.
I mean, you really should buy both, John.
And then there's another 37 Classic Chevy 4-door. And then we've got a 52 Chevy Deluxe sedan. And then a 2016 Buick Cascadia convertible. And then a 31 Studebaker Dictator.
Oh.
So I don't know how this Buick falls in, because then we go to a 58 Ford, a 39 Chevrolet Custom, a 29 Essex.
Yes. Unfortunately, you got to be careful driving that Studebaker around nowadays.
I don't think anybody cares anymore, actually.
No, really?
No, that's my take. Wasn't the Dictator the middle range model in 31? Because the President was the top of the heap. And
I think Dictator was mid-level.
What was at the bottom? I've ridden in a 35 Dictator. It was a nice car, and it was an unrestored barn find, like a little tattered and dirty and rusty, but not mechanically unsound or anything, because it didn't actually have all that many miles on it.
Yeah.
Got a 26 Ford T listed here. Got a 50 Studebaker Champion. Got a 31 Chevrolet Coupe. Got another 39 Chevrolet sedan.
Ooh, are you looking at the 31 5-window coupe that's in Campbellsville, Kentucky by chance?
No, this one is in Blountsville, Alabama. Nothing I've mentioned.
Oh, there's a great 31 Chevy up here in this area. So
59 Apache, 52 Mercedes 170, 46 Mercury.
Wait, what year was that Mercedes?
52.
Oh, my grandparents had a 59. It was a 220 SE, but I have a soft spot for any Ponton.
And I think this is a friend of mine's listing.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, he's got he doesn't itemize what he's got. 14 grand buys it all. Actually, 8 grand buys it all now.
Are people really walking around with like tens of thousands of dollars of cash in their pockets waiting to buy random collections of stuff? Does that happen? I see the ads, but I never hear about people actually going, yeah, bought 3 barns full of random stuff, and I always just wanted some of the Model A stuff and not just sell everything else.
This gentleman rarely changes price on things, but because he doesn't have to. But he's got some 50s era Oldsmobile pictured. He's got like a Jeep CJ2, 4 antique tractors, and I couldn't tell you what they are. Some of them.
What does one do with antique tractors?
Steel wheels.
I mean, I guess if you've got like a hay wagon, you can give rides around. If you've got the space.
Well, you take them. The same thing a lot of people do with their antique cars. You take them to the antique tractor shows. Take them down to the local parade in your local.
It's like owning a horse or a boat.
Yeah, you need a
Take
trailer.
it someplace to enjoy it. Yeah.
It looks like he's got an early 60s Buick something. Looks like he might have an old T-Bird convertible. That might be an El Camino in the background.
El Camino spans a lot of range. Are we talking like G-body? El Camino? Are we talking like a 59? I mean,
no, we're talking probably late 60s, early 70s vinyl top, if that's what it is.
Oh,
like
man.
Chevelle base.
Yeah, the Chevelle base. That's the one I've always kind of wanted one of those. I dig.
Or a GMC Sprint.
Yeah, I dig that late 60s, early 70s. I don't like the Chevelles. But the El Camino with the Chevelle front end and that Chevelle platform, I really, really dig those. I don't know why. They've got a great stance. I have always kind of lusted after one of those.
I got to be honest, 68 and up A bodies till they get to the downsized ones in 78, they don't do anything for me. The shape is just, I guess it's okay, but it's so stereotypically muscle car, big block Chevelle. I like the boxy early versions, and I have a soft spot for the A and G bodies of the 80s because they're the last reasonable size rear drivers, and they were the cool hot rods when we were in middle school.
Do you recall the 66 Chevelle that Dad has? That my dad has? Do you recall us getting?
I recall its existence, but I couldn't tell you anything about it.
It's been finished for years. He loves that car, driving it around. I'll send you a picture of it.
Both sets of my grandparents had 1965 Pontiac A-body convertibles. One set had a Le Mans and one set had a GTO, both yellow with black interior. I assume the Le Mans had a 326 and an automatic, and my paternal grandparents let my teenage dad, he was a senior in high school in 65, spec out this GTO. So it was tri-power, 4-speed, positive traction. I mean, it's the car from the song, right? And my grandma, it was like the last car my grandma really drove, because that was the point where my grandfather retired from the Air Force and she stopped having to drive herself around at any point until he died in 1994. So there's a great picture of her behind the wheel. And when I put a 4-speed in my Camaro, she said, I can drive that, And moreover, brings me back to the 38 Chevy. She learned on my grandpa's 38 Chevy because she was in New Orleans with that car and had to get home to Flint, Michigan in 1942 because he had just shipped out for North Africa. And so she just jumped in and made her way home into pre-interstate America. So she was a pretty bold lady. But yeah, and then my Aunt Jane, my mom's sister, used to roll the other car out in the street in the middle of the night in neutral, and then started in the street and drive away because she was not supposed to be taking the car out so late. And which is a hilarious story when you consider that she grew up to become a judge.
Oh, nice.
Right? But innocent fun in Saginaw in the 60s. That was such a mid-century family that my mom's oldest sister was a car hop at a Dog and Sons for her first job in 1957. Wow. Right? And she had a 57 Ford convertible with glass packs, because if she'd been my uncle rather than my aunt, she would have become a mechanic instead of an oral hygienist. But it was the 50s. You didn't do that.
I mean, fixing cars, fixing people. It's similar.
Yeah. Chrome grill versus enamel.
Yeah. Exactly. I love that. This is one of the things I love about cars and car stories, right? Is knowing you're kind of going back and for car people, it's, we go back and talk to our families about what kind of car did you have, Grandma? What kind of car did you have, Grandpa? And to kind of go through the family and, talk about things and we remember the history. I remember talking to my grandma, my maternal grandmother, and I would just go visit her. That was on the farm right where we lived, where I grew up on the farm. And I just remember one day sitting there, just having one of the talks with her about history and her growing up, and just picking her brain, trying to learn things that she'd never told anybody else. I was like, what was the first car you remember? Because she was born in 27. She was born. And I was like, what was the first car you remember riding in, Grandma? And she said, she's like, I remember riding in it. Give me a second. I can, and she closed her eyes and she was like, I was standing on the back seat, looking out the back window of that convertible top of that car. It was just an absolutely beautiful car. She goes, it started with an A. And I said, Auburn? And she went, yeah. I said, Grandma and Grandpa had an Auburn. So her grandma and grandpa had an Auburn touring car.
That's neat.
And I was like, so Grandma, where is that car now? She goes, I don't know. I'm like, no. You're supposed to say it's in the barn over in Grand Rapids on the old family estate. Go get it.
Yeah, unfortunately, what happened to most cars in those days was that they got taken to the dump and burned out so that you could salvage the metal without having to pry it all off the wood skeleton.
Yes, yeah. And this is from the wonderful woman, my grandma. She was a strong woman. And she never really talked about a lot with her kids. So my mom, when I started telling her stories, was like, what are you talking about? But I asked grandma, I was like, well, okay, during World War II, what were you doing? Like, she'd gone to school to be a beautician, and then World War II broke out. And I was like, you never talk about this, grandma. Like, what did you do? And she's, oh, she's like, well, we had to go to work for the war effort. She's like, I just assembled hand grenades.
Hand grenades.
I was just like, what?
You know, when my dad was in the Air Force, after he got back from Southeast Asia, he had probably his closest call at the airfield in Alpena, where he was the regular Air Force contingent supporting the National Guard operation there. A lady pulls in a station wagon. This would have been about 1972. Kids in the back seat. She says to my dad, I've got something in the back seat and I don't know what to do with it, and I'm hoping you can help me. He goes around the back and it's a almost full case of World War II hand grenades. Like almost full in the sense that somebody couldn't resist trying a couple of them out, but probably was like, damn, I cannot get these aren't fireworks. I can't get away with continuing to use these. And I don't recall if this lady was like recently widowed or what, but she found these in her basement and didn't know what to do with them. And to be honest, my dad didn't really know what to do with them, except he had the presence of mind to go, why don't we get the kids out of the car and away from these?
Yeah.
And then I think they ended up calling the local police for explosive ordnance disposal or something. But yeah, Michigan was quite awash in armaments. I know that a particularly nice shooting M1 carbine followed my grandfather home from the Saginaw steering gear plant because it was too good to send to the Battle of the Bulge or whatever, and it's still in the family someplace. Not in my closet, unfortunately.
Not yet.
There are some cousins further ahead in line for that particular piece of ordnance than I'll ever be.
Gotcha.
But yeah, it's neat to know the story and that it's out there.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and going back, we kind of got on the family history thing of cars and other stuff, but going back to John sending us the Facebook Market place, posts, ads for these cars that are coming up. Yeah, I really do think that. I think growing up for a long time and kind of watching the market, and I think probably you and I talked about this in college, Dave. It was always like, the cars that are coming up are really expensive. Like they're just not affordable. And I was always like, I'm just going to hold out. I'm going to wait for the day that the market dips, right? There's going to be a time when the market dips, or, more of these cars are going to come out of the woodwork. And I think we're in that right now. Like, I think over the last few years, that especially the early car market has taken a hit. Obviously, not on the always high dollar stuff. Your Duesenbergs, your Big Brass, Simplex, Speedwells, the really high end Big Brass. That's going to stay high for a while. But I think a lot of the other early cars are in a dip right now, and there are also a lot more coming out of the woodwork. I think the older generation is, unfortunately dying off, passing away, and
they're dead. They're not even in the home anymore at this point. The cars have been in storage for 15 years.
Yeah,
and now you've got kids and grandkids calling them out that don't know what they are, don't care, are certainly not going to search out the know-how and the parts to get them going again. I don't mean to cut you off, but I had a buddy this week haul a 31 DeSoto out of a shed, and you could tell that it was probably a nicely restored car when it was put there, but that was about 25 years ago, and time has not been kind to it.
31 DeSoto. That's kind of got the big bullnose grill, right?
That's 30. Okay, so this car is interesting because 32 is the year with that Miller style race car grill. And this car is technically a 32, but it's a first series 32, which is carryover 31, which has that Chrysler all the way to the grill hood that doesn't leave a big fat radiator surround. It's got just a really thin grill piece.
Yep.
And and this car's got wire wheels. I think it might be a deluxe sedan, which they only made like 1,700 of those versus 17,000 of the standard four doors. But the standard four door would be on wood wheels, and this car is on wire wheels, and it's got the accessory trunk, but that was, I think, standard with the deluxe sedan. It's hard these days to track down what was standard equipment on a deluxe 1931 DeSoto. Like that. Yeah. Sadly, that's kind of a problem. It's like now that all these really cool cars are cheap, the parts and the know-how has gotten pretty sparse on anything except, the most popular, i.e. Model A's and V8 Fords. Even the T hobby's really struggling right now.
Yeah, if anyone's looking for someone who knows a lot about those early cars and things, feel free to reach out to me anytime. I can help you out.
We need experts like you to carry that on, because the days of it being everybody's grandpa who had been working on these with their dad since the 50s is just, it's gone. And so many of the younger generations in those families didn't care to carry it on for one reason or another. And I don't care to engage in generational finger pointing because everybody gets a black eye and that kind of deal. But definitely, I think the general enthusiasm for cars in society has significantly cooled. And that, the especially old stuff is just the first victim of that. But I don't ever see a lot of newer, more common stuff attaining the heights of value that some of the predecessors have had. And on the flip side, I think some cars are always going to be valuable. So, i.e., the big block Chevelle that I was poo-pooing before, like an SS 427 Chevelle is always going to be a valuable car because it's just linked to an ineffably cool thing. So as long as cars are interesting, that's going to be a car that is interesting to car people. But the whole population kind of thinks less and less of cars as something that they like and more akin to something that they're chained to for a couple hours a day to commute in and would prefer to have automated.
I agree. Yeah, and it's kind of disappointing because we're seeing so many of these, collections that are just kind of going into buildings and, large collections that are just kind of tucked away and swirled away into buildings. And fortunately, some of them do wind up open to the public to go see. But, a lot of these cars are just kind of tucked away where people don't get a chance to see them. And disappointingly, the collectors don't always take them out to events and shows so they can be seen. There's a lot of cars that I watch go across auction that, or even see them up for sale privately, right, through a broker or something like that, and they disappear into a black hole. And sometimes they're really great, historically significant cars, and they're cars that deserve to be seen, deserve their story to be told. And unfortunately, they get sucked up and they get lost to the world for 10, 15 years while that collector has them, and either then decides time to move on to something else or dies, and the whole collection goes up to auction. So,
yeah, the auction. I mean, I will say that it's worth it to keep your eyes on the auction circuit, especially particular auctions like Hershey and Monterey, and places where the cars that you like regularly come up, because those auction houses actually do a really good job, especially of photographing the merchandise, but then of trying to tell its story to the best of their ability. Frankly, a lot of people who used to be magazine writers have gone off to write for those auction houses full time. So the quality of that writing is just getting better and better. And it preserves them. I mean, bless these places that leave these high-res images online for everybody years after these auctions, because some of them don't, and it's really unfortunate because you're like, I'd really love to know more about this car, see more of it, and the photos are all purged. And I don't know, like I get if you don't want to show off your personal property to people because there's a lot of like inconvenience that goes along with that, but wanting any image or trace of it to be taken down from the internet or whatever is another level. Like, I mean, what is the purpose of that? I don't think it's not how my personality works anyway. Like, if anybody wants to see pictures of my stuff, like, let them.
Well, I think the other thing being being that I come from the museum world, the museum side of things as well. I think maybe one thing that, and I'm not, all auto museums aren't like this, but I think one thing that auto museums could do better, although many of us have 500 cars in the collection and we don't really need to bring cars in on loan, but better, good, strong relationships with the private collectors, that if they do have something extremely historically significant that should be seen, that there is a way to have that on loan, have it exhibited for a while at a museum where the public come in and see it. All of that. And we've talked about it on the show before. I've gotten heated over some videos that have been put out by certain lifestyle companies that exist, that badmouth museums. And I still am of the standing that it is more important to have historically significant vehicles in the public realm where they can be seen and learned from than stuck in a private collection that rarely takes them out.
Man, I just want a 31 DeSoto. I don't know about all that policy stuff.
Well, talk to your buddy. He just pulled one out.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, even if he wants to get rid of it, unless he wants to like trade me straight up for an old bunk bed frame. I don't think I'm acquiring a 1931 anything anytime soon.
Actually, so bunk bed frame, huh? Wood or metal?
Metal.
Tube, angle iron. What are we talking?
No, it's nice tube. I mean, I actually just sacrificed one of the 2-inch tubes with 90-degree elbows in it to build a bat excluder that I didn't end up needing because it turned out I had chimney swifts and not bats.
But okay. I'm just thinking
the rest of it's really nice. I mean,
if it's good tubing, you could probably build a cycle car out of it.
Great. I mean, then you think you'll want to trade me, or are you suggesting that I build a cycle? Because, like I said,
you should. Build
I do have large parts of a 1936 Chevrolet Standard. I've got the engine, most of the transmission, the rear axle, the wheels, the tires, the brakes. Like, we could probably, if I could find a Chevy 4-block to put under my 28 Chevy cylinder head, that would bolt to the 4-cylinder or to the Chevy Standard transmission.
I've got a 4-cylinder block.
Do you? Yeah.
Yeah.
You got that 490 frame too, or that Superior
20,
frame.
Yeah, it's like 23, 24, but the head should mount right on.
Yeah, it should. The distributor mounts in a different location, but that's overcomable.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, the collaborative speedster project. I'm not sure we should use a bunk bed frame though. I think the Superior frame might be
the Superior frame would be better.
Superior foundation.
Yes, very superior.
Actually, there's a 26 Chevy truck on my Facebook marketplace up here. And it's your typical 20s truck, which is to say it's like a radiator, a hood, and a big wooden box with glass windows, and then an exposed frame because whatever was back there got removed ages ago. I'm like, that radiator shell's really hard to find because the 26 passenger car shell was aluminum. It either dissolved or got recycled. But the steel one from the truck remains intact. I'm like, that'd be a pretty good start for a speedster. Would that be sacrilege? I mean, people do that to fire trucks. I mean,
no, yeah, exactly. People
Chevy one-ton truck,
American LaFrance. I mean, I also have a 1916 Overland frame chassis laying around, and 28 Marmon chassis. Those
are significantly bigger and heavier, though. I mean, I'd want to put something with a little more suds than a Chevy 4, and either of those. The Overland chassis, you could get one of the big flathead Willys 6s. That'd be fun. Or a night engine. Can we find a night engine and drop that in there?
So actually, my plan with the Overland chassis, when I'm extremely wealthy, is because I'm only just wealthy now. I'm not extremely wealthy, as it's been said.
We're all just frustrated millionaires. Yeah,
exactly.
Temporarily embarrassed.
Yes. But and this is a plan I have with a good friend of mine, Dave, is to acquire one of the Overland. Sorry, the other Dave. That is
the other Dave.
Yes,
I know the Dave. Yes.
Yes.
Cooler Dave, if I'm being honest, but
I don't know. You each got your thing.
we each have our talents, our appeals.
Yeah.
We've never in the same room though. But anyway, go on. Exactly. I want to hear about this Overland plan.
Is to get one of the gonna blank on it. There we go. OX5 engines that were built by Overland, because Overland actually they contracted and built OX5 engines to help them with the need for the.
Well, that makes sense because Wright was in Dayton and they would have been in Toledo.
Yes, correct.
Yeah.
And so they have a plate right on them that says manufactured by Overland. So we want to build an Overland aero engine speedster. So if anybody has an Overland OX5 engine, I don't know what's going on right now with
you guys were talking about bunk beds.
Bunk beds. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, 10 minutes late, but we're good. All right.
Hey,
very fitting for Jason though. Actually, this is Jason's bedroom, is it not?
Where do you think I got the photo?
Yeah. Jason sent this in.
Sleep with a drip pan suspended above yourself, Jason, or is the car the bed?
I mean, the car is the bed. The car is the bed. Yeah.
And then there's
so actually you don't need the drip pan until you hit about 65. Then you need the drip pan underneath.
Oh.
Then you have a driving simulator below.
Mm-hmm.
I was looking for Jason's super fast comment from 20 minutes ago too, because there is a really cheap $5.99 on Facebook Marketplace. You just need to put it back together.
Yeah,
just put it back cheaper when you have to put it back together, especially if you're the one that didn't take them apart.
Straighten the frame,
Oh no, it's straight. The guy was building a race car.
Oh, well, that's easy.
I've always kind of wanted to put a race car back on the street, mainly a demolition derby car, so that people would not want to F with me in traffic.
Yes.
Right? Like, can you imagine driving around in like an 88 Pontiac Parisienne wagon with no glass, spray painted number on the side, big old brush cages front and rear? Like, how are you driving that? Goggles. Yeah. Maybe like a screen to keep rocks out of your teeth.
Of course.
Yeah.
That is the second time Demolition Derby has come up today, though, for me. We were talking earlier today. We're, of course, doing at work the preservation, conservation treatments on Survival, the safety car, which was built out of a step-down Hudson. And we were talking about the giant engines they had in those things. And I was just like, man, we should.
Wide block 6?
Yeah. We should get like a 50, like mid 50s, 56-ish, step down Hudson with big engine in it, and just demo derby that baby.
56 step down. That's not a thing. 54 was last year for the step.
Yeah, 55 was last year. Sorry.
No, 55 is the Nash body. It's a nice looking car, but it's not the step down.
What step down was 48 to
54.
54. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I
get a big Hudson.
Those are kind of safe cars to begin with because they got those. Anyway, I'm jumping on your story. Yeah. You want a demo derby at Big Hudson, which
wouldn't that be sweet? Just demo derby that bad boy.
Mm-hmm. I would rather drive it undemoed. I saw a Hudson changed its nomenclature so much in that era. It's hard to keep track. I saw a Super 6 once at the Quail, which is a really, you want to talk about like red pants events.
Hoity-toity, if you will.
Yeah, fly your helicopter in event. But I saw and it was an Icon derelict. So it was like all patinaed with the nice kind of restored and lightly accessorized period interior. Very convincing. Had an LS under the hood, and I was like, this is a case where I would have liked to have seen them go, maybe put throttle bodies where there'd been twin H carburetors and sort of split the difference and modernize the Hudson engine instead of swapping engines.
Yeah.
So that's actually the topic that I was supposed to talk about tonight was the appropriateness of engine swapping and how that's anathema to so many modern
Dave, this
people.
is how no driving gloves work. We just work right into the topic. You don't even realize.
Just segue. Yeah.
Well, we only beat around the bush for 36 minutes to get there.
Well, that's perfect. It's just the right amount of intro to get everybody's brain softened up.
And plus, I got to talk about my actual topic and not the ridiculous topic that Dave.
Not current events.
Well, if you would fill out your topic choice before Thursday.
Thank you, John. That was the point. I was like, John and I have both put in topics, and Derek has not.
Look, I will fill mine out by Thursday at 8:59 p.m. Okay.
Well, the idea is it has to be there by the time I create the artwork, or otherwise you're SOL.
Mm-hmm. And what time do you create the artwork?
Huh? Usually Wednesday evenings.
Sure.
A Model T moment. I feel like this sounds like hyperbole, marketing puff.
This is an AI generated image for those of you.
Yeah, this is terrible.
Yeah, it looks it. Yeah.
It's the new Model T moment because Ford's coming out with this massive electric announcement on August 11th. That's going to revolutionize everything. So this is a stylized photo of a Model T with like a Tesla Cybertruck headlight bar instead of headlights and that, all rounded and arrowed to be an electric Model T.
I dare say that no one would buy a Model T level vehicle with a Ford badge on it today. They would expect more out of a Ford than an actual like T experience would give them.
I don't know if anybody could. I don't know if anybody could sell a car with Model T levels. I mean, even the Slate is above
Mahindra or one of these Chinese brands could absolutely sell successfully globally a minimalist. Think of like the passenger car version of a Nissan hardbody pickup or something, you know?
If you're going globally, I think Ford could do that too. I mean, if they're going to try to sell a Tatra type or a Mahindra type vehicle, and
you're right, Ford is a good global corporation, but there would never be a domestic model of that, and that's Ford is of course teasing that here. I think that if you were, and it's funny because we're in the process of pushing back a lot of our emissions policies, but there's been no movement on safety other than to like continue to push it forward. Because if you watch, they keep announcing new federal safety requirements for vehicles going forward, which would keep a true T level vehicle out of the market anyway. Because really, effectively, a T is like a side by side, slightly larger and slightly slower. Because it's
I think side by sides are a little bit more refined than Model Ts. But did you see the Automotive News article today? That even though the federal government has effectively eliminated emissions controls or emission standards, and they've also implemented a policy that state emissions cannot be dictated on a state level going forward. Hence, California can't say you can only sell a car here if you meet our standards. Something of 6 automakers are supposedly bound through at least 2026, and Stellantis even longer, that they have independently said to California that we will continue to improve our emissions year over year. So because it's an independent contract with the state of California, it's still in effect for, I think it's BMW, Ford, Stellantis, Honda, Volkswagen, and I think it's Volvo. that they're still bound, where everybody else could say, "The hell with it, we can do whatever the heck we want."
Well, I mean, Volkswagen might still, right? They've done it in the
past. Well, the other thing is they go, well, guess what, California? We're not going to abide by that contract, so we're just not going to sell cars for the next model year in California.
Maybe you don't should sue the hell out of them. That would never fly.
No, they can buy the product Ford's selling, but they can't sell it in California.
Yeah. If I were Ford, I wouldn't be taking that roll of the dice. But I see the argument you're making.
I don't think they would take the sales loss, but it'd be interesting to see somebody go up against California and say,
California is what, like the 7th largest global economy if you treat it on its own.
Yes, it's up there.
So I mean, it makes sense to as a producer to want to satisfy their policy goals from just a marketing standpoint.
Well, either way, even though we keep saying that the U.S. government has effectively eliminated emission control, et cetera, the EU has not. Japan has not. Not that we sell a lot of cars in Japan. So and nobody else in the world has eliminated their emission control. So we still got to play by those rules. But that would also segue right into your topic there, David, about engine transplants. I really say
engine transplants. Yeah, well, I mean, because it's guys get really bent out of shape out of that. I mean, like, there's the one thing. I mean, there's the restorer thing that's like, thou shalt not depart from factory. But there's also like the crossbreeding, and it's been there's a long history, and people have always done it. And when you look at like aircraft practice, and this is where this comes from, because it probably won't surprise you to learn that one of my other interests is antique airplanes. Now, I can't fly, and I can't afford an airplane, but I still like to read about them and research them. And I was reading about how the Army used to order essentially an airframe with different engines from different manufacturers. So like when they ordered the Martin B-10 bomber, it had Pratt & Whitney engines, but they also wanted a version that had Wright engines. I was like, imagine as the consumer kind of having that choice to be like, yeah, I want a Ford chassis, but I really want a Cadillac engine in it. But I mean, being into hot rodding and customizing permits you that. And of course, it's always been true. I mean, Bill Frick out on Long Island actually did have a business putting Cadillac V8s into first Ford and then later Studebaker cars. And the Studebaker Cadillac hybrid, the Studilac, was actually mentioned and called out in a James Bond novel. I think it's Diamonds Are Forever, because it's set in the United States. Felix Leiter, his CIA counterpart, drives one.
But also, you had some of the smaller car companies that did it just to be able to survive. I mean, Allard, used the Cadillac engine.
Well, Allard never had a proprietary engine, right? I mean,
that's what I'm saying.
Ford Flatheads from the beginning.
Yeah, but they also used Cadillac. They used, there were different engines that would get put in those cars. Things like the Nash Healeys that had a combination of different components. So, but you're talking the proprietary manufacturers.
Yeah, well, Daniel Healey wanted to put Cadillac V8s in his chassis, the Silverstone, I think it was, but Cadillac wouldn't sell them to anybody in that time period. They didn't want their Cadillac V8s. Because Briggs Cunningham, who was another guy that built Allard-like cars, but here in the U.S., ran into the same problem. He wanted Cadillac engines, and Cadillac was like, no, all of our output is spoken for Cadillac chassis. Thank you. And then, I think he had a warmer reception at Chrysler, so you get Cunninghams with 331 Hemis in them. But yeah, the Cadillac was a big deal, and Frick kind of ran into the same problem. I mean, I think he was buying them over the counter through the dealers, which is you can't do that in bulk if you want to do a series run like the Cunningham or the Silverstone. But if you're doing individual conversions for people, and he'd buy them with or without the Hydromatic, depending on what the customer wanted in their Ford chassis, but he'd also like the Studebakers in particular, because Studebakers were beautiful cars, but not really well assembled from the factory. He'd take them all apart and put them back together and make sure they didn't rattle and everything was aligned. And so they were a much nicer car when they came out. So yeah, that would be interesting if we suddenly had a local raft of engine swaps, but I'm not sure that emissions laws are the only thing keeping you from doing that in some respects in the present day. But that doesn't stop those of us that like old cars. And I remember from my days owning a Falcon that one of the fastest ways you could anger people in that group was, can I put a small block Chevy in there? And everybody's like, yeah, bend over backward to put a Ford in it, 302 or whatever. But you want a 283 or a 327 or a 350? It's like, absolutely not. And yet, the earliest Falcon engine swap article, it's actually a Comet engine swap article, is to a Chevy 265 out of a 56 Chevy. And Wally Parton, the granddaddy of modern hot rodding, is the guy that did it. And for good reason, because there was no small Ford V8 in 1961 when he did it to his basically new Comet. And they did put a Y block, which was the smaller Ford V8 in a Falcon, but nobody basically replicated that because it makes him handle like a pig. Because I love the Y block, but the Falcon is not the chassis for it.
Yeah.
And then the Buick 215, though. I'm sorry.
No, I was going to say that, saying that idea of putting a small block in a Falcon, it just made me think of, and I wish I could remember, I believe they called them the small block Ferraris, when the guys that were racing Ferraris would blow the Ferrari engines, in the like late 50s, early 60s. There was a rash of Ferraris that got small block Chevys put in them to go out.
Yeah.
They could race them, and that I know of, none of those cars still exist with small block Chevy. Everyone has been put back to a Ferrari engine. And it makes that story from Ferrari's history of the small block Ferraris just even more interesting to me. Just, here's something like a Ferrari, and, everybody's like, oh, it's a Ferrari. And guys are like, yeah, but I blew the engine, so I stuck a small block Chevy in it.
Oh, yeah.
We've talked about it maybe on the episode or a show before. I knew a guy, he passed away a few years ago, Randy Cook. He actually owned a small block Chevy powered Ferrari, and actually petitioned for years for Pebble Beach to have a category for the small block Chevy Ferraris, because some still do exist.
Really?
And his car actually had one, and it's like a 250. It's not a GTO, but
and it has the provenance. It's one that was changed back in the day.
Yes, he wrote a book. He wrote a book called Bowtie Ferraris.
Oh, is he the one that wrote the Bowtie Ferrari book?
Yeah, and he
I was
also
going to say there's a book about it.
yeah. I have a book, and he also wrote Bowtie Fords, because there was a contingent of Ferraris that got the Ford motor put in it. And like I said, he petitioned for years, and unfortunately, I think he passed away in like 2018, 2019, and never saw that come to light. Now, his car might have been, well, definitely was sold off and might be converted back to the Chevy. But the Ferrari owners petitioned not to have the category, because some of them own Ferraris that had the Chevy conversion done to them, and they didn't want that stain on the history of their car that they've worked so hard to remove.
Yeah, I love that story. I love that story out of Ferrari history.
And the aircraft engine car chassis hybrids, like you were talking about before, I mean, those have a legit history as well. Briggs Cunningham's uncle had a Hispano Suiza V8 in the Dodge Brothers touring car. And there is currently running around, and I'm sure you know this car, on 1916 Auburn chassis with Oh, a Sturtevant aircraft engine in it?
Yes. Well, there is one that I will never be able to afford, likely, unless, again, I find a way to become extremely wealthy. There is down in South America, I believe it's still in a collection in South America. There is a Chandler, of course, Chandler, a wonderful Cleveland-built automobile that went down. A lot of the, somehow a lot of the American cars, big cars like that, wound up down in South America. And we've talked about kind of the road racing racers that were built down there. Well, this wound up with a Curtis engine in it. I think it's an OX5, if I remember correctly. And it's known as the Curtis Chandler. And my God, the thing is probably, in my opinion, the most beautiful aero engine racer of the period. I'd love to see that back in the, here in the US running around. It is a fantastic car.
I just love to learn Spanish and Portuguese and go befriend all of these South American collectors and spend some time touring their collections. Because that and visit the craftsmen in Argentina that build the Bugattis and the Alphas and all those Baquets. And I mean,
guys, just Persang.
Yeah. But I mean, there are non-Persang craftsmen in Argentina that are doing really inspiring work too. But yes, absolutely. The guys at Persang is what I was thinking there is, oh my gosh. I mean, aside from the fact that an item of a certain age gets a feeling to it, unless it's been over restored, if you park an original Bugatti or Alpha next to a Persang, I don't know how you would tell the difference, because they look and feel 100% authentic when you're up close.
It's near impossible. Yeah.
I mean, just the fact that somebody in the world can go to the effort to reconstruct from scratch something like, I mean, Bentley did it too. Bentley 3D scanned their blower Bentley and did a new short run series of those. And I think they've recreated some other historic Bentleys since that project. And I mean, there's still, thank God, there's still craftsmen and people carrying this stuff along. And it's sad that it's not as widespread as it once was. I mean, car culture was truly ubiquitous in this country, probably right up to the 90s almost.
Oh yeah.
But it's still out there, and there's still a lot of cool stuff to be seen and experienced, and people who are carrying the torch for that. Are we boring you, Derek?
No, sorry, just getting tired, guys.
Yeah. Sorry, I got distracted. I found an article on Randy Cook where he actually got a category at the Concours Italiano with the bow tie and blue oval Ferraris is his other pick.
Oh, that reminds me. You know what the best expression of that sentiment though is the Iso Grifo. I mean, if you want a Corvette drivetrain wrapped in a beautiful Italian body, Iso Grifo. Oh my word.
Yeah, Iso Grifo. I'm trying to think which. For me, it's a toss-up between the Iso and the Bizzarini.
Oh yeah, that's true. I just haven't run into any Bizzarinis in person, really, to speak of. I've seen them, but I've seen a bunch of Isos up close, and I liked every one of them. I mean, obviously, being me, I preferred the earlier ones slightly. I've got a set of cast aluminum Corvette valve covers over my mantle out here in the garage, so that's where my sentiments lay with the small block for sure. But Iso's interesting because the Isetta was also an Iso product, the scooter and the bubble car 3-wheeler. You of course know that because that's your domain. And I think Iso made appliances, which is I think how they got into making refrigerators. They're essentially refrigerators with engines.
Yeah, they made refrigerators. But you also have to remember, and Jason will probably remember this. Of course, we're talking about Jason Hill, one of our regular listeners and commenters. And guys, get in the comments here, talk to us. Ask us questions, whatever you want to do, get involved. But while I was at the Corvette Museum, I put together an exhibit entitled Corvette Powered. And it was all vehicles that were Corvette powered and that we brought in that were not Corvettes, right? So we had Iso Grifo and an Iso Lele. We had a Bizzarini in the exhibit. We also had the Bizzarini, the only ever built monopost racer the monoposto that he built for a gentleman racer. Gosh, what else did we have? It's been a few years, but yeah, we had
32 Ford.
No. We did not do that. But anyway, it was a very cool exhibit. The one car I could not get because there were only 2 in the U.S. at the time, and probably only 2 still in the U.S. And I think also another beautifully wrapped Corvette engine, the Gordon Keeble from England. Absolutely beautiful.
I do not know that one. Keeble with a K or with a P? Peeble.
Keeble, if I remember correct.
Keeble, interesting.
Keeble, or
my dog is angry.
It might be Keeble. I can't remember if it's Keeble or Keeble, how they pronounce it. But another just great, British sports car kind of theme to it, and probably one of the coolest car emblems maybe in history. The emblem is a turtle, so it's this wonderful turtle, nice kind of green tones on the turtle, and it is in a yellow circle. And the story behind it is that they were trying to find or come up with an idea for an emblem for this car, and they happened to be out for a walk, or I don't remember the story exactly, but they found a turtle on the road, and they decided they needed to move it to safety. And when they went to pick it up, it peed and created a puddle of yellow underneath it. And they saw that and went, huh, what if we did a yellow circle with this turtle on?
When you're out of ideas.
That is the story I have heard and read somewhere. Now, it could be completely made up. If anyone out there knows 100% for sure, let us know.
Because we don't carry that error-induced liability insurance.
While you were
talking,
you were talking mascots. That was a topic that was actually discussed, and Derek might have input on this on Spike's Car Radio podcast this week. They were discussing this new $5.5 million Bugatti, and that somehow it might be the shifter or whatever uses the Bugatti mascot, which 2 of the 3 people on the show thought stupid and trivial and is not appropriate for a Bugatti. And that was the elephant, which was introduced as the Bugatti mascot on the Bugatti Royales, according to the third podcaster on the show. And I know you have some intimate knowledge. It
did not appear on all of the Royales. It was a sculpture done by Ettori's brother, Rembrandt Bugatti, right? I think it was brother.
Yeah,
the whole family were artists, amazingly talented people. But it did not appear on all of the Bugattis. It appeared on, I believe it was only one, and it's the Prancing Elephant. All 6 of the Royales were presented reproductions of the original at the famous gathering of the Royales in 1985, I think it was, at the Pebble Beach Concours d'Elegance. And that is how the other Royales wound up either wearing or having a prancing elephant sculpture on their radiators.
I was trying to get an image of the what do I want to say? The prancing elephant. So do you think it's an insult and horribly not depicting of Bugatti at this point in time? Or do you think it should actually Do you think it's still appropriate for Bugatti because of the history and the ties?
I mean, I think it is fitting. I think there's truly probably only 3 emblems that are fitting for the Bugatti, which is 2 of them you see right there. The red oval with Bugatti. And above that is actually the other emblem I would call. It's integrated into this oval, but the EB, which stood for Ettore Bugatti.
I thought that was Ed Bolian.
Yeah, that too. And then
he says about his Bugatti.
Course, the prancing elephant, which adorns the radiator cap. So, I think those are the 3 emblems or logos that are most fitting to Bugatti.
I don't acknowledge any Bugatti after the Type 55.
What?
I don't acknowledge any Bugatti after the Type 55. They're dead to me. Keeps me well clear of all the awful post-war stuff. But even the tank is a little sketchy in my mind. And I'm not really a fan of the Royale, but I guess it does slot in before the 55.
We're going to have to reevaluate our friendship, Dave.
That's twice in one evening. This is a record.
I know. This is like, you're almost on strike 3 here.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
The listeners don't know, but we just went full circle because Derek ended his friendship with Dave just prior to the episode.
In the green room. I'm keeping it fresh, reminding you why you don't want to be friends with me. Because I have terrible opinions on Bugattis. But I mean, I'm just saying that the brand that is most associated with the man criticizing Bentleys as being too large now produces stupid large cars, and it's just sad.
Are we talking about the story of the Royale?
Well, that's.
Or are you talking about Bugatti building the cars they build now?
Yeah, I'm talking about Bugatti building the cars they build now. Because if when you think Bugatti, you think Type 35 like I do. Everything since the 40s is a slap in the face.
Yeah. The Type 110 was just, that was bad when they tried to do that back in the day. I don't remember what year that was. Late 80s, early 90s. Was that they did the Type 110?
I was not paying attention to new cars in that era.
Yeah. So I have no idea why John just disappeared. But I was kind of getting ready to say we should probably wrap up the show for the evening.
But we can't without John. So
I don't think we can because he's the only one that can hit the end record button, right? Or end
the off button. Well,
yeah, he's got the off button.
Well, I mean, it's a nightmare. You wake up in a new
we can do a little song and dance to see everyone out until John gets back. Da, 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 da. I don't know.
Why is there not a No Driving Gloves theme song?
You can talk to John about that. It has to do with.
It should be Panama by Bon Jovi.
Well, it has to do with, obviously if we try to use a song that is actually a song by a band, we have to pay royalties and all that stuff or else get in trouble. But then also evidently there are bots out there that if you make your own music, there are people out there who have created bots that will find that and they'll claim copyright to it, and then you get a lawsuit, and they try to it's just one of those things that technology
the internet is
destroyed any chance of anyone having any fun.
If it was real, you'd never go there. Exactly. Or maybe you'd have no choice because all business would be conducted there. Sorry, your bank has now moved to the death zone.
Oh.
Please stop by and see us. Our lobby hours are between the fire rain and the radioactive wasp swarms.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we're getting off topic here, but how cool was that they found radioactive wasp nest? That was pretty cool.
I mean, yeah. I mean, it's if you're a fan of the Fallout series, how can you not like the appearance of radioactive wasps in our post-apocalyptic landscape? And I don't know, in the spirit of that era, the Ford Nucleon, am I right?
I was just going to say, what we need to do is have nuclear-powered cars. I mean, think about it. Think about the nuclear-powered ships we have
What about
US
nuclear
Navy.
powered submarine or not?
And submarines,
Locomotives, steam locomotives.
locomotives.
Because a reactor's a big heavy thing. Like putting a car chassis is probably a little unrealistic, but a locomotive is a big heavy thing already. So I just feel like, boiler technology, steam engine, just you don't need as fireman because what you need is a physicist to watch the rods.
Yeah.
We're coming up on the crossing. Pull one of those rods out a little bit. Yeah.
Ah, that would be fantastic. Fantastic. Someday.
It's the streamlined modern future that we deserve, that we were promised at the 1939 World's Fair and have not gotten.
I agree. So, well, I don't know how many viewers we have, but we're going to go into No Driving Gloves After Dark, where Dave and Derek just talk about anything until we figure out what the technical difficulties are that are going on. So, I'm just going to figure that out right now, folks. And
this is like that part in Jurassic Park where Samuel L. Jackson is like, I'm just going to go fix things real quick. And then we're going to send Derek after John, and John's arm's going to come out of the darkness. And Derek's going to be like, oh, thank God, John. Ah!
Sorry, I was thinking of a totally different other
I'm
Samuel
back.
Jackson
You guys
quote.
can just go ahead and end the show. And I'm just had an internet issue real quick there.
Well, but neither of us have the end.
I don't. I can end it. I was trying to get to that point, but now I have internet.
We didn't know where you were. We didn't know what was going on. You could have been dead.
You got to say
Can you imagine that? Can you imagine?
Remind them to like and subscribe and buy coffee and tell them to burn ass and get some gas or that other thing.
Yeah. Kiss my ass.
And do what with your gas?
Ass, gas, or grass. No one rides for free.
No one for free. I like that it's an and. You're going to pay with all three if you're going to ride.
Inflation. You used to be able to choose one of the three.
All right, time to go. See you guys later.
Good night, everybody.
Later.